jumps over a mountain and goes from mountain up to railroad. So I'll be glad to answer any questions. Again, I know there's someone here from the car club to speak. Not sure about the merchants. I did talk to a representative from the downtown merchants last week. He said he would not be able to be here, but he said he would put it out to the downtown folks to see if anybody was coming to speak. So I don't know. I haven't talked with him. I just talked to Mr. Dixon, who couldn't be here.
So I'll recognize someone from the car club. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. My name is Crystal Tanner. Address is 6095 Kernersville Road in Blues Creek, North Carolina. Thank you, Madam Mayor and the Board of Aldermen, for allowing the Old Salem chapter of the AACA to come before you for the 16th year. We're super excited about that. We have a wide range of supporters here with us tonight. We have club members, cruise-in supporters, and some of those are Kernersville residents. I would like to ask those in attendance who support the downtown cruise-in to please quietly raise their hand. Thank you. So just a quick look back 16 years ago. This is the newspaper article that ran before our first cruise-in. You can see they're listed those who created the event, and tonight we have 4 of those. We have Mr. Jim Taylor, we have Mr. and Miss John and Ruth Ann Ronchetti, and Mr. Ron Day. A couple of quotes I want to point out is the cruise-in would be an opportunity to shine the spotlight on downtown. This is a great opportunity for fellowship and to give people a chance to look at cars. This is another event that has the potential to draw people to Kernersville who don't know what we can offer. And lastly, events like this really bring people to us we don't normally see. And that all rang true and continues to 16 years later. For those of you who are not aware of the event, the Downtown Cruise-In, it runs second Saturday, June to October. That's 5 months out of the year. Some months it's only 3 or 4 times. It's not 5 because of rain, but we do request for all 5. As Mr. Swisher said, we do close Main Street from Railroad Street to Harmon, keeping Mountain Street open. The cruise-in begins at 4 o'clock. We close the streets at 3. The purpose of that is it gives an opportunity for the cars to get staged on Main Street before the event begins at 4. By 7 o'clock, the streets are open. We announce that cars have to be moved by 7 o'clock. So it's not the event is over at 7, we're cleaning up and it opens up an hour later. Those roads are open at 7 o'clock. The club does hold a little fundraiser there. We have a bake sale. As you can imagine, we're going to have some cakes and cookies and things. We're going to sell water and some water and soda, excuse me. We also sell 50-50 tickets, and we have a winner at each event. And we have a DJ on site playing the oldies but goodies. As you can see through these pictures, the cruise-in brings people together. It provides a relaxing atmosphere, and it brings shoppers to downtown Kernersville. I do want to provide some information on our finances. We actually have 2 treasurers. We have our club business and the cruise-in. It is completely separate. Most of our income comes from our sponsors. Without our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to give back to others. You can see here listed our sponsors for 2025. Most of these are long running for years, and we could not do it without them, so we appreciate them very much. Additional income, as I mentioned, the 50-50 tickets and the bake sale. Sometimes we do get some miscellaneous donations at cruise-ins, and we throw that in there as well. And as with anything, we have some expenses. So you can see those roughly listed there. So when you look at the end of the season, we got our income, we got our expenses. What's left is what is donated to organizations. We do not keep any of that. It is all donated to organizations. So you can see here, in the last 10 years, we have raised and donated over $17,000. Our lowest is $250, and that's going to be a year when we decide to split it up among multiple organizations. The $1,500, that is the year that we decided to donate it all to one organization. It went to Samaritan's Purse to assist with Western North Carolina. Here's a list of organizations that have received donations one or more times over the years. We are very proud of this list. I do want to mention the elephant in the room when it comes to this agenda item tonight. Usually it's on the consent agenda. So each of you did receive a petition from downtown businesses with about 25 signatures. I respect the information in that petition. I feel that it does grant consideration by event organizers as well as the Board of Aldermen. However, I do want to make a note that out of those 25 signatures, it represents about 20 businesses. Several of those are no longer operating today. Some are new that signed the petition that were not operating in 2025 cruise-in season, so they did not get to see what the event does for downtown. And lastly, I want to mention that if you review the business names and their hours of operation, a number of them are not even open on Saturdays, so this event does not affect them at that time. From what I can tell, and I just took this out of it, so what I can tell, the main issues is attendees arriving early. I agree, some do arrive early. Is it too early? Maybe. I do know that some park their cars and they walk down to get something to eat, or they walk and socialize, grab a drink, go shopping. And I do know that some park, sit out, enjoy downtown, enjoy the fresh air, and watch cars go by. Even with that occurring, thanks to all the recent town efforts in parking, we have a nice public parking lots throughout the town, so parking is plentiful. As event organizers, we request our members not to park on the streets prior to 3 p.m. To reach those who come, which is a lot that come that are not our members, we put it in the paper, do not park before 3 p.m. We also put it on social media. I have personally made flyers and placed in each car to advertise the next cruise in and ask them, please don't park prior to 3 p.m. If there's something else that we could do to discourage that, we are open to that, but we have made our efforts. Just want to make that known. The petition includes a request to relocate the event to the Kernersville Farmers Market area or move it to Sundays. Event organizers have looked at both of these options as well as other options throughout Kernersville. Among other reasons, we feel that Sunday is not for consideration for us as a club, as it would be disrespectful to hold this event with music out in the streets right in front of a church. We are just not interested in doing that. We looked at Mountain Street, we looked at the farmers market area and other places. Mountain Street provides more logistical issues that is already set up on Main Street for this type of event. Farmers market, absolutely no disrespect. I like the farmers market, but it's an open space when we're looking at a cruise-in. It's just an open space. We feel strongly that the cruise-in is a Main Street event, just like it is in Pilot Mountain or Marineri. Even the pictures shown here tonight show that the downtown atmosphere at a cruise-in. That's what this event is about. Otherwise, we would just have a car show. The cruise-in is different. So just to highlight, you can see here that attendees, they have shopping bags, they have drinks, they have ice cream and more. They are shopping downtown. Customers come at different times for a business. While sales from attendees on an event day is great, so are the sales from people who return in December and spend $400 at a business because what was sold at that business, now they had a need for it. So technically, that's still connected to the cruise-in, and that is an actual event that I had heard about. Also, sales comes from spreading the word. Someone seeing something at a cruise-in, going and telling a family member or a neighbor of what they saw there. It goes deeper than just the day of the event. I would encourage businesses to take advantage of the event. There's anywhere from 200 to 400 people downtown on any given cruise-in. Maybe adjust hours, adjust marketing, adjust merchandise and how it's set up to show what you have to offer. Welcoming people in, because even if they don't see something that day to make a sale, it may spread the word tomorrow or the next day. So in closing, we would greatly appreciate your continued support to bring the cruise-in downtown Kernersville for 2026. Thank you, and now I would like to turn it over to anyone else in the audience that would like to speak. Is anyone else interested? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Is there anyone from the merchants who wanted to speak? Or downtown merchants represented here tonight? Okay, just wanted to give you the opportunity. And Crystal already asked if there was anyone else from the car club who wanted to speak, so we've taken care of that. All right, board, do you have questions of anyone in the room? Questions of our staff? Discussion?
I have no questions. I would motion to approve.
Can you be a little more specific?
I would motion to approve the consideration request by Old Salem Chapter of the Antique Automobile Club of America to hold their 16th annual car club downtown this
Okay.
summer.
Got a motion by Alderman Thompson, second by Alderman Pegram, right? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the presentation. Okay, so we are to item C, the 2025 annual reports and 2026 budget requests. Oh, and by the way, if you're here on just that agenda item, feel free to leave. It's fine. But I'm staying. You can stay with me for the rest of it. You're welcome. All right, as everybody's filing out, we'll give them a minute, and then we'll go right to the Chamber of Commerce, followed by the Shepherd Center, and then Crisis Control. And then the other annual reports and budget requests will be at upcoming meetings. So if you're interested in hearing about all the organizations, stay tuned for another meeting for those.
I need to get my screen up. My screen's not up. Can't get his attention.
We're going to address a small technical difficulty before we continue. Thank you for your patience, Chris. Sure. Okay, we'll continue then with the meeting. We are to item 1C, the 2025 annual report and 2026 budget request, and we'll begin with the Chamber of Commerce. I'll recognize Ms. Christine Comer. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, everyone. We're so thankful for all that you all do for our chamber, our community. On behalf of our board of directors, our team, our volunteers, we really want to give you thanks. We have board members that are joining us via YouTube this evening, so I wanted to recognize them. And I'd also like to recognize Lisa Hedgecock and Amanda Ruark. We're the team of the chamber. They're at the back. Our members, our businesses, and our volunteers are a vital part of our team as well. You may see the annual report in front of you. Catherine's got it up. It's very simple this year and fun. I'll just summarize very quickly. Our social media continues with a very far reach. We've added another 1,000 followers to both downtown and the chamber Facebooks, which are connected with Instagram as well this past year. Volunteering, we continue to be a volunteer organization with over 200 volunteers and almost 3,000 hours each year. Our membership is growing, and we're really continuing to increase that retention rate. We're at 87% for 2025. The Opening Your Doors to Kernersville and the Real Estate Development Guide that you may remember from last year that was created by our Economic Development Advisory Council continues to really assist businesses and those coming into our community to understand to come to the town first. Don't sign anything, talk to Catherine and her team. Let's see if this particular location is a good match for you. Lunch with Leaders is a very popular event. We invite you to come to every one of them. We recently had Brad Rents from the town, and we had Mark from the Greater Winston-Salem, and they talked to us all about economic development. And Brad really was able to share the process coming into our community and bringing a business with you. We're so thankful for our collaborators, the Kernersville Little Theater, the Shepherd Center, Kerner's Folly, Kernersville Family YMCA, Paul J. Senior Botanical Garden, the Salvation Army, the Kernersville Museum and Depot, each of our churches, the town of Kernersville, every area, public services, fire and rescue, police department, parks and recreation. We just really couldn't do it without all of you. Our Veterans Parade will be held this year on November 8th at 2:30. What a success last year was with over 500 veterans. That's another 100 in addition to the year before. The town of Kernersville continues to assist us in numbers, so now we know approximately how many folks come to our different events, which is really interesting to us. An interesting fact was in 2023, it was a perfect weather weekend for Spring Folly. So we always know we have over 30,000 people, right? It's perfect weather weekend. 2024, we had a lot of rain. Pacer AI showed us we had just 20,000. Last year, we had more rain than ever, and we had 36.7 thousand people come. They're starting to figure out if it's going to rain, let's go Friday night. Or if it's going to rain, let's wait and go Saturday or Sunday during the day. So we were ecstatic about those numbers. The downtown, we continue to have those sidewalk sales, and we've included small business in our entire Kernersville area. So that is our community sidewalk Saturdays, June through October, the second Saturday. Halloween, every year, it's October 31st. This year, we saw 5.1 thousand people just at a 2-hour Halloween event downtown. We included Hallow Wheels this year, so the kids got to get on a big rig, and they got to enjoy seeing what Brightspeed's all about as well. Blooms to Bells, you may have heard of this. It's the night before the Christmas parade. This year, we filled that trolley up almost the entire 4 hours. This also includes the lighted up blooms at the garden. It included the new museum, skating at the museum, the lighting of the Christmas tree by Parks and Rec, and Santa at the depot. There were 4.3 thousand people here in 4 hours. We thought that was very exciting to see. We're all set for December 5th, 2026. The Christmas parade, as you all know, it's very well attended. We saw 6.5 thousand people watching the parade this year. That's a lot of folks. And we're looking forward to December 6th for our largest, most popular Christmas parade in the area. We thank you for all that you do for us, and I'm open for any questions.
Are there any questions by the board?
Chris, I have one. Is the chamber going to be involved in the Kernersville 155 and America 250 event?
Yes, thank you for asking. We will have a cake at Founders Park at 12 noon, and we've got one of our businesses that is going to help us with the cake cutting. So we're really excited to be involved in that. Thank you, Mayor, for including us.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, Chris, for your presentation. Thank you, ladies, for your hard work. All right, we are now to the Shepherd Center.
Good evening. So just a reminder, am I supposed to push this to move or do I kind of signal you? Cool. Wow, y'all have gotten fancy. Okay, last year it was like nod, nod. Got it. Okay, so good evening. I'm Ashley Cooper. Okay. Yeah, cool. Thank you, Curtis. Okay, thank you. All right. So, my name is Ashley Cooper. I'm the Executive Director of the Shepherd Center of Kernersville, and this year we are celebrating 41 years of excellence in the community. We are one of 2 senior centers of excellence in the county, and technically just one of 2 in the whole county. And that takes quite an effort. Every 5 years we are evaluated based on what we've done throughout the previous years. There's markers that we have to meet. It's a very labor-intensive process, and we're very excited that we are still hold that moniker as a Senior Center of Excellence. Tonight, I have with me my Senior Center Director, Debbie Williams, and our Board President, Taylor Mabe. So, we had a really exciting year. Last year, I came to you and I was talking to you all about the growth that we've seen. And we kept saying, why are we so busy? And we looked at our numbers in 2025, and this is what we saw. We served 4,581 older adults in our community. And that may not seem like a lot, but in Kernersville, 17% of the community is 65 plus, and that comes out roughly to about 4,700 people. So we know that we're making an impact in our community. Out of that 45,000, 72% of those individuals had a zip code of 27284. So again, we know that we're reaching farther out into our community. The other zip codes are the ones who touch Kernersville. So that's Oak Ridge, Walkertown, Colfax, those surrounding communities. So our senior center saw a dramatic increase. Typically we grow at about 2%, and this year we grew at 17% for our individual engagements, and that was quite striking to us. We did that all actually while providing a little less programming. What we tried to do this year was dial into what did our older adults want to experience while they were there. And so I feel like we've really kind of started to turn that place over to them and let them take control, and sure enough, they've done that. So I wanted to highlight that we do have a cover dish every month. The mayor has been a guest. We would love to have you all as a guest too. It's typically the last Friday of the month. And we usually have anywhere to 40 to 70 people who attend that event. That's not including the many other events that we have. We also have a ukulele troupe, the Strum Troopers is what they're called. And this year they really got out in the community. They played at the at the fair. They also played it around the community. What's really great about that is not only are they providing opportunities for adults to learn how to play the ukulele, but they also provide opportunities for intergenerational, for our younger folks to also participate. We also continued with our intergenerational programming. We engage with our school systems in 2 ways. We do Cash Buddies. We have 4 opportunities for the 4th graders to come through and have an opportunity to do an arts and science project with an older adult. And this year, we decided to add on age sensitivity training. And as you can tell, they had a really great time with that. So what does that mean? I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later on, but they have an opportunity to experience what older adults may experience as they age. And it was really eye-opening. We heard a lot of, wow, I didn't know my grandmother was experiencing this. I didn't know that my classmate had these issues because we deal with mobility as well, mobility limitations. And so it was a really great experience for them to understand what it's like to be an older adult. We also continue to provide opportunities for our makers 50 plus to sell their wares in our lobby. And so that has taken off, and they usually make about $300 a month while they are there. And you can see it's very high quality items. They sell handmade items all the way to, they make their own paper and sell notebooks and cards, jewelry, hand sewn items, and so on. Matter of fact, one of our makers actually made around $700 doing this year. So it's a great opportunity if you're looking for a unique gift, but it also serves a second purpose. We promote it on our social media, and it brings in folks who may not know about the Shepherd Center into our space to kind of experience what it's like. Let me also say this, that we also saw an increase in overall visitations. So that number of 3,800 is individual who come in, but overall we saw 22,802, I need glasses, 802 individuals visit. And again, that was a large increase of 5%, where we usually see about 2%. So we know we're making an impact. So what does that look like? So we've promised the community to do 3 things, right? So we've promised to provide life enrichment activities, home-based services, and volunteer opportunities. So in our home-based services, which is our transportation, our pharmacy pickup, grocery, minor home repair, so on and so forth, all those services that people need to remain in their homes, we served over 1,600 individuals, and that was actually a 45% increase from the year before. Part of that led to, as organization and the board decided to invest in that. So we actually were able to hire somebody on full-time, and that helped expand our services. Last year, we reached a really important goal for us of our value that we bring to the community of $1 million. And this year we reached it to $1.4 million. We also work with different churches in the community to provide blessing projects. So quarterly, different churches come together and they decide how they would like to support and serve our homebound individuals. We had some at church who helped. We had the Women's Club. We had a variety of folks come together. Rotary this year, and they did blessing projects. They did Christmas gifts. And a lot of those folks had never received, or has been a long time since they received a Valentine's card or a Christmas gift. And so they were very appreciative. We got a lot of tears. We got a lot of phone calls, voicemails with people who were crying and saying, this was really moving for me. I didn't think I mattered, and now I know I do. So I want to talk about our partnerships. We continue to work with our community agencies. Last year we started Operation Medicine Drop, and I believe that was going on prior to, but we asked if we could move it on site, and we have. And actually that was so successful that we will be doing it again next month, as a matter of fact, March 23rd, I believe. We also continue to partner with Kernersville Parks and Rec. We did a Silver Connection dance, and that was wildly successful to the point that we actually are moving it to the crossing to do a senior prom this year. So that is definitely growing. And then lastly, we also worked or presented and engaged at the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, which was a great turnout. So not only are we there talking about the Shepherd Center, we also have a number of people who participate. Something that we just recently did, I wanted to highlight, if you might have seen it on social media, but recently we partnered with the Kernersville Fire and Rescue Department to provide age sensitivity training. We spent 3 days and pretty much touched every single member of the fire department, rescue and fire department, and we did 3 things with them. We talked, well, technically 4. We talked to them about the Shepherd Center. A lot of times when you ask people if you heard of us, they go, oh yeah, and then you ask, what do you do? And they're like, they don't say a whole lot. So it was an opportunity to educate them because they are the first responders. You know, they are out there in people's homes when they're not feeling well. And so it's an opportunity to partner and to pair our resources with their need. So we provided vision training. So they had to wear glasses, and what you see over there is them trying to sort buttons based on color. And they're wearing glasses that yellow, and that is something that happens to all of us regardless. But their lens yellow, and then they had to sort the buttons. And it was really fun just to see them trying to figure that out. And then we also did mobility. So we had them put on gloves that simulated arthritis. We had them try to thread a needle, put Legos together, dress a Barbie, you know. So again, these are all things that you would do as an older adult, maybe with your grandkids. So again, to kind of help relate and have empathy for the folks that they're serving. And then lastly, we simulated limited mobility, lower limb limited mobility. And we had them walk with walkers and balls in between. And it was fun and we had a good time, but it definitely proved the point. And the surveys that we got back said that. They were all very appreciative of the opportunity to learn more about what older adults are experiencing. The last thing I would like to talk to you all about, because this isn't a new addition for us, is the rest stop. I mentioned it last year that we were interested in exploring a group respite program. So we went out and found and located a program called Respite for All, and we will actually be the 68th community or respite program in the United States. Chapel Hill has one, Concord's opening one, Durham, Wilmington. So this is something that's kind of spreading like wildfire. And the point of the rest stop is to provide a brief respite. You know, I often say that when you're taking a road trip, which is what caregiving is, you're going down this road 100 miles an hour, things are coming at you really fast. Anytime you experience that, usually you just kind of get off the road, you take a breath, and that's what we're going to be providing at the rest stop. So we are partnering with Sedge Garden United Methodist. This will not be on our site. This will be at their facility. And this is something also unique for us because we typically provide our services at no charge or limited charge to the folks who attend. This year we will be requesting a fee for this. So it'll be $40 per session. So each time they attend, it will be open Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They have found that's the prime time. Not only is that the prime time for caregivers, but also for volunteers. We actually last Thursday held our first volunteer training, and we had over 19 people participate, which was really surprising to us. And so that tells us that there's an interest in the community. What's unique about this program is it provides a part-time director, and all the other supports are provided through volunteers. So this year, we have asked for an additional funding for this program. It takes quite a bit to get it up and running. It's a big ask from our space to provide it, but we really feel like it's meeting a need in the community. We haven't really promoted it very much, but we've already gotten 4 friends, this is what we call folks who will be attending, who have reached out, and we have another volunteer training the first Saturday in March, and that's coming from the requests that we're receiving. So we will start launching that officially Monday, but you guys get a sneak preview. It's a really great opportunity for not only for caregivers to get a break, but for folks to be seen as individuals and not as their diagnosis. So everybody has the same name tag. There's nothing special that delineates who's a volunteer and who's a participant. And while they're there, they'll engage in art activities, brain games, physical activity. They'll receive a family-style lunch. We'll have a lot of music going on. It's a really great space and a really great opportunity. This is the first time this is launched in Kernersville, so we're really excited to provide that. So I just want to thank you all again for your support. You all have supported us for quite some time, and we're excited to continue to move forward. So I'll take any questions.
Are there any questions of Ashley? Thank you.
Okay.
We
Thank you.
appreciate your presentation. Thank you, Debbie and Taylor, for coming too. All right, we are to crisis control.
My name is Kathy Hoffner. I'm Director of Crisis Control in Kernersville, and I live at 3230 Swain Road in Winston-Salem. I have with me today our board chair, Kimberly Bostick, and also my husband, Herman Hoffner, who is a Crisis Control voluntold, and he's also a member of our Kernersville Advisory Council. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you tonight to talk a little bit about crisis control, and I'll try to keep it at a little bit. You do have a packet, and I won't talk about every piece of paper, but I do encourage you on your own time to go through and look at some of the information included in the packet. It can give you just a good picture of who we are. We are a private nonprofit, of course, who's been in the community now for over 50 years. We've been in Kernersville about 48 years, providing assistance and services to families who are in crisis situations. We are a volunteer ministry. We are volunteer based. In the Kernersville office, we have 2 staff members, myself and David Richmond, who is our client service coordinator for the Kernersville office, and then about 50 volunteers that do the actual work. In your packet, you will also see our fiscal year 2024, which kind of gives you a breakdown of the monies spent out of the 2 offices. If you look at the green side, that's the ministry as a whole. And if you notice, there was over $3,661,000 in goods and services provided as a ministry, out of the ministry as a whole, for over 23,700 people. If you flip that over and look at the purple side, that gives you a breakdown of just what happened out of the Kernersville office. In the Kernersville office, we served over 3,300 people at the cost of over $811 with $945. And we did that for people in Kernersville in the Walkertown area who were in a crisis situation. If you look at the bottom, it gives you a little breakdown of how those monies were used, what some of the services were provided. Housing was one of our largest services. Of course, food is the service that we provide through our Client Choice Food Pantry, and also utilities, which includes fuel oil, natural gas, and electricity and water. Our pharmacy, which is located in the Winston-Salem office, they provide, we were the first free licensed pharmacy in the state of North Carolina, and we provide medications for those who can't afford their medications. Our clients who recently qualified for Medicaid came to us and said, we don't really want to go to another pharmacy. We want to keep coming here, but they qualified for Medicaid. So we did some work and got approved to be a Medicaid provider. So now they can continue to come to Crisis Control and pay their $3 when they have that to get their medicines. But medicines that they can't afford, they can still get for free at Crisis Control. So we're able to provide that service. That's a new thing that Crisis Control in the Winston office is doing. Some of the things that we do as a ministry as well is provide education to the community. We do this for the school system, police departments, the Wake Forest, it's not Wake Forest now, it's Atrium Health, doctors and interns in poverty. We provide programs called a poverty simulation, which gives them the opportunity to learn what it's like to live at or below the poverty line with a family situation, and also living on the edge, which is a condensed version of that when a group doesn't have time to go through the whole day of a poverty simulation, and also a program called Bridges Out of Poverty, which is a workshop just to help people understand a little bit about what it is to live in poverty and how best to address those. So it's a comprehensive program, but if something you might not learn from reading all the little packets about crisis control, and something that I've learned and experienced in my 28 years working at crisis control, that it's community that happens under our roof. Community is built under crisis control roof as you have people who have a need come together with people who have a need to help. And that's what happens at crisis control. We have about 50 volunteers in the Kernersville office, and they do everything from greeting the clients, sorting the donations, talking to the clients, filling out the application, because there is a process in order to receive assistance, because we want to be good stewards of the funds that's provided to us. So that's something you might not learn just by looking at this information, the process of community. And it's more than just somebody coming for help. Many times, the person coming from help will also turn around and be of help to someone else. It's not unusual to find somebody working in our food pantry who's benefited from our food pantry or for financial services. It's not unusual to find people who will go out into the community and pay it forward, even if they don't volunteer at crisis control, or to show up at crisis control with a monetary donation because they were helped in the past, or to show up at crisis control with a food donation. I was looking on Google at one of our reviews, and I saw this one. This is a recent review on Google for crisis control. Crisis control was a true blessing to myself and my children. I lost my job unexpectedly and had been distraught on how I was going to pay my rent. You all were true angels, and your kindness to assist us meant so much. I am thankful and humbled for your assistance. The process was easy and flawless. Thank you so much, and I promise to pay it forward. And we do hear that a lot from our clients, paying it forward. Something else you might not know is sometimes our clients go on to become employees of crisis control. Currently, our director of volunteer and community development, our director of volunteer and community services, as a child experienced homelessness and lived in a shelter in Salvation Army here in Winston-Salem. And she remembers when crisis control helped her family. And now she's working as an employee at crisis control. Several years ago, a young lady came to our Kernersville office. She was living in Kernersville, single mother, trying to raise her children, balance work and job. Just like a lot of people was having a difficult time, we were able to help her. Then fast forward a few years later, and she's working in our Winston-Salem office as a client service intake specialist, and going and talking to clients and getting them ready for their interview and screening them for their needs. So it's really a community situation that happens under the roof. It's not a situation of them and us, it's we. If I had to sum up crisis control in just a few words, I think it would be building community with humility. And when I think about the word humility, I'm reminded of what C.S. Lewis said about the word, how to define humility. And it's not thinking less of yourself, but thinking more of someone else. And that's kind of the way crisis control handles their process. We do have a process, we have guidelines, and we have rules that help us make the decisions. But being a private nonprofit allows us to put the client above that, to put above that when need be, so that we can make sure that people who truly are in need get the help that they need, because sometimes that really doesn't show up on paper. So and we call that grace, and you'll see that on some of our responses to clients. This person or this family was helped based on grace. Now, that doesn't mean that every time they come in, we're going to just say, okay, Grace, we're going to do it. Grace, we're going to do it. We do require accountability. We don't want to be enablers, and we don't want to foster dependency. But there's a balance there. And the neat thing about that, it's done in community. It's done with community support, both financial, both in kind, and also in the hard-earned hours of people coming to volunteer and do the work. So thank you for helping us. Thank you for allowing us to do what we do. We would not be who we are and be able to do what we do without your support, without the support of the community. Are there any questions?
Does the board have any questions? Thank you for all you do and your organization. Thank you.
Thank
For all
you.
y'all do for others. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we are moving on now. Unless Curtis, if you have anything else on that item. Okay, we'll move on then to item D, consideration of an ordinance to amend Chapter 11, 7.5 of the Code of Ordinances for the town of Kernersville. Mr. Swisher?
Madam Mayor, we try to keep our code of ordinances in line with the state statutes, and the state statute has changed regarding indecent exposure. So we are recommending changing our code of ordinances to fall in line with that. We'll refer to Chapter 14-190.9 of the North Carolina General Statutes together with any subsequent amendments in its entirety so that ours falls in line with the state's.
Okay. Do you have any comments, questions? Do you have a motion?
So moved.
I heard it 3 places.
So moved.
Got Alderman Savannah, second from Mayor Pro Tem Gorham. Is that good with everyone? All right. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, item E. This is in consideration of an ordinance to repeal Chapter 1111.
Correct, and that is a section of our code of ordinances that dealt with profanity in public places. We at one time had that where it was against our code of ordinances and you were not allowed to use profanity in public places. North Carolina General Statutes and U.S. Supreme Court has made that illegal. So it is now you can use profanity in public places. So we are repealing our code of ordinances that made that illegal, basically.
All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gorham, second by Alderman Savannah. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, item G is consideration of a Piedmont Greenway reimbursement agreement. Mr. Swisher?
You missed item F.
Oh, wait, that's the controlled. All right, thank you. I scrolled. All right, we have a third consideration of an amendment. This is also an ordinance, 2020-11, for control of access to town-owned, controlled, or leased property. Mr. Swisher?
Yeah, this one's generated a little interest, mainly because, I guess, of what it is. But this ordinance is currently in effect. Now it was adopted by the board in 2020. We're just updating some language as it pertains to Fire Station 41. You have the old language in the ordinance. We're just including, because we fenced in the portion of the parking lot, so we now have the wellness center in the front part of that building. So we've kind of had to shift around a little bit the visitor entrance to the fire station. So we have that there, kind of spelled it out what part is now a non-public work area. And I'll explain a little bit in a minute about what the whole ordinance is. And the other changes for the Parks and Rec Center, the language in the old ordinance pertained to the Parks and Rec Center on Bodenhammer Street. We're now in the new one. So we changed it to be reflective of those areas that are non-public work forms. So what this ordinance is basically is it has all town property listed. There's 2 properties that aren't listed on there, but we may list them or we may just not list them. But it's all town properties, and it's what it does is it stipulates what we're at in those town properties from a location standpoint is considered non-public work area. So here at Town Hall, when you go past the front desk where the officer is, everything back there is a non-public work area. What that means is that the public is just not allowed to wander back there and wander around. And we do that so that we'll know who's in town offices and town buildings. Just like any private office, you just can't wander into the office and wander around. We had that issue at Town Hall quite a bit years ago before we had the officer at the front desk. Now we don't have that issue. The problem is you have to designate these areas in all town buildings as non-public work areas, or else the public's allowed to go in there because it's a public building. So if we didn't designate everything past the front desk here at Town Hall as a non-public work area, then technically we couldn't stop the public from just going in that area. So we've designated those areas at the fire station. It's the sleeping quarters where the firefighters sleep. It's the offices at Station 42. It's the offices at 41. Parks and Rec, it's the area, it's the conference rooms and the offices upstairs, and then the open gymnasiums only if there's an event being conducted or an activity being conducted by a contractor or by staff. Otherwise, it's open, anybody can go in there. The bathrooms are open, the track is open. Public services, you know, we have the garage down there where all of our equipment is, all of that. There's a gate there, you can't get through the gate, but technically unless we designate it as a non-public work area, if that gate's open, they can go in there. And then it's kind of tough to charge them with trespassing. So we've done that for the safety of our employees as well as the safety of the citizens. It's not real safe for a citizen to be kind of just wandering around down at public services with all the equipment going in and out. Same as at the fire station. You know, if they're just kind of wandering around in a fire station, and you get a call and we don't know someone's there, you know, then we have to watch out for them when we're leaving the building. So that's what we've done. Again, it's been in place 6 years. Never had any trouble with it. It doesn't prevent anybody everybody that comes to Town Hall that wants to see someone gets to see someone. We just call back and say, hey, there's somebody here to see you. Same thing at other places. It's what it does do as well at like the fire stations. If those folks are out on a call, then that prevents somebody from just kind of wandering around. So that was the purpose when we put it in. It's worked well. We've not had any trouble out of it. Nobody's been restricted as far as their ability and their rights to go into a public building. So, and all this tonight, again, all the one tonight is doing is just really updating the language for those two particular locations. And really for the Parks and Rec, it actually, if we didn't update the language, they would really be restricted if we went by the language that's currently in there. They wouldn't be able to go anywhere on the first floor hardly, and they wouldn't be able to go on the second floor at all. So this way we've updated it to reflect the new building, and they can go anywhere they want to in the building unless it's being used. At which point, if it's being rented and used, then that person could also tell them to leave because they've rented the space.
All right, are there any questions?
I do have a question. I know what we're talking about with the locations, all of that makes sense, but I do want to ask about, we are a one-party consent state, and there are the areas about photographing and video recording, and I wasn't sure if that is a problem with us being a one-party consent state where it says that everyone has to consent.
No, if they're in the public work area, like if they're in here, if they're in the lobby of Town Hall, if they're in the public work areas down at, say they're in the gymnasium at Parks and Rec and it's just open play, then they are allowed to video because you can video folks in public places. If they go back into those non-public work areas, they would at that point, if they wanted to video, say they went back into our work area and they wanted to video Keith, and Keith said, no, you can't do that, then they're not allowed to because at that point it's a non-public area. But in the public areas, we would still have to allow them to film.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks.
All right, any further questions?
Madam Mayor, I just have one comment. I think the ordinances you're talking about have to do more with protecting people and protecting information that people would expect to be confidential. It's not a matter of excluding a member of the public from the town facilities that they own, you know, technically. But I would submit that those of us who've had offices or who have offices in civilian sector, we also don't allow walkthroughs and unlimited access. So it's just a matter of business propriety and business courtesy and etiquette. It's not a matter of trying to exclude anybody from a public facility.
Yeah, that's correct. And we've had individuals come up and want to come in town hall and video. And I mean, we allow them. We'll stop them at the front desk and call somebody and say, hey, just wait a minute, I'll get somebody. And we'll bring them up and we'll allow them to video. But at that point, it's like I just explained to Alderman Sabanis, if someone doesn't want to be videoed, then we'll give them the opportunity to close their door or whatever. So we've never told anyone, no, you can't go in here and video. We just want you to be escorted in the areas. I mean, for a lot of reasons. You know, number one, we want to know who's in the building. Number two, we want to make sure you're safe, our employees are safe. And number three, depending on the time of day, if it's close and we're getting ready to go home, we want to go home, don't want to lock you in the building. I mean, we've had that happen. We had someone that was in the restroom and in the courtroom and we didn't know about it and left and they were in the courtroom. Fortunately, they can get out from the inside, but you know, then you've got someone that possibly could stay in the building however long till the next morning. So we've never told anyone you can't come in and video. Now, we wouldn't let them probably go in the police department and go through there. We would certain areas, but again, they just need to be escorted.
And even when members of the Board of Aldermen come to town hall to meet with you or Keith or someone else, the officer at the front desk, it's not just a matter of decorum for him to escort us back to the offices where we're going. We're escorted back there too. So it's not something that is just, you know, it's for you and not for us, because it's for us too.
Okay, is there any further discussion or questions, or do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion by Alderman Thompson,
Second.
second by Mayor Pro Tem Gorham. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, Sarah, for catching me on that. All right, so that is all of the ordinances. Chapter 11, and ordinance 2020-11. So there we go. Item G, consideration of a Piedmont Greenway reimbursement agreement. Mr. Swisher.
Madam Mayor, you have in your packet a memo that outlines what this item is. This was an issue, an item that was discussed and approved by or pledged by the board in June of 2024. It is for the section of Greenway going from downtown Kernersville to Trad Park. So that's between Forsyth and Guilford counties, and it was to do a design of that segment. I think the total cost was about $800,000. State funding would reimburse $500,000, so that left $300,000. And Forsyth and Guilford County picked up the biggest portion of that $300,000, and then asked Kernersville to commit to $20,000, which the board pledged that support back in June 2024, provided that the rest of the funding was awarded. That has been awarded, so now we're asking the board to authorize the town to sign the reimbursement agreement and to go ahead and commit that $20,000 match to that.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion by Alderman Thompson, second by Alderman Apple. All in favor? It's unanimous. So this would allow, is it bicycle and pedestrian or mostly pedestrian?
I think it is similar to our Greenway. I believe it'd be similar to the one we have. So it would be bicycle and pedestrian,
So
both, anything non-motorized.
Non-motorized. Okay, excellent. Well, Curtis, I think you've been working on that Greenway since probably 1999.
It's a long Greenway. Been a long time, too. And actually, for the new board members and maybe some of the current board or previous board members that are back on the board, there is a tunnel under Grayland Street that was put in once Grayland Street was built, the mayor will remember it, to help make that connection. And so it would come from downtown, go under Grayland Street with the tunnel and then on over to Trad Park. And I guess from Trad Park, I guess the plan would be then to pick up, is it the Atlantic and Yakin Greenway, Chris, at Trad Park to go into Greensboro? Yeah. And once you connect to the Atlantic and Yakin, and you go far enough into Greensboro, or maybe far enough into Guilford County, you can split off the Atlantic and Yakin onto the Bicentennial Greenway, take one leg over to High Point, utilizing some roads, and then Gallimore Dairy Road in as Greenway. And also part of the Bicentennial Greenway goes into Greensboro. So this would connect to a large system of Greenway in the eastern part of Forsyth County and the western part of Guilford County. And then, of course, we have the other Greenway that we're studying to connect over going west into Winston-Salem.
Okay, anything further on this agenda item?
No, ma'am.
All right, let's move on then to item H, a conceptual renovation plan for Harmon Park.
Yeah, item H, I, and J are all related. They deal with Harmon Park renovations. Item H kind of explains what those renovations are. I'll cover that. And then item A, I, and item J are the two different grant funding sources. So Ernie and I have been discussing Harmon Park. As you know, Harmon Park is our oldest park. Been here for many years, and it's been a while since we did anything with it. And it's now time, it's obviously kind of changed uses, how it's used, and so forth. So Ernie's looked at it, we've discussed it. He's came up with a proposal to do a renovation to Harmon Park, and it's what that new plan would really do. It would have an outdoor stage there at Harmon Park to accommodate a lot of the concerts that we have there. There's concerts there in the summer and spring and even early fall quite often, probably every other weekend anyway, at least a couple hours on a Saturday or Sunday. It would grade that main green space area that we use for the Juneteenth event. It would grade that out. We'd have some concrete walkways around the park. We'd have a new water feature, kind of help replace the current water feature that is there. That would, reflect back. Many of you have heard talked about the wading pool that was up near the old Linville building that's there. So it'd be reflective of that. And then we would go in with some of the different amenities there and upgrade those. Probably the only one that we wouldn't do anything with would be the existing shelter, since that's fairly new. It's a couple years old in the bathroom. So that's what we're looking at. We have the LWCF grant and the North Carolina Parks and Rec Trust Fund grant. One's a $750,000 grant, the other one's a $500,000 grant. You can match each other. So it'd be $1.25 million. We think the total project would be about $2 million. So if we get these, we would have to come back to the board for final approval of the project. But we wouldn't do that until we apply for the grants and see what we get. And depending on how much we get, we would change up the scope of the project to accommodate that. So that's what it is. I don't know that there's you can approve the conceptual plan, and then item I and item J are the two separate grants, the North Carolina Parks and Rec Trust Fund grant and the LWCF grant. And that's simply just applying for those grants. You're not approving the project or anything of that nature tonight.
So I have a couple things I'd like to mention about Harmon Park and the design of it. There's a lot about Harmon Park that that people love. And it is definitely one of the most well-loved parks. On the conceptual plan, when you specifically mention that the old wading pool area, so I've always thought that that wading pool area was where there's kind of like, there was like kind of a raised concrete area, and it had gotten grown in with these really, really oversized shrubs over time. So I think in our design for this, we need to think about that concept of safety through environmental design. I may not have the exact wording of it, sort of a law enforcement concept of looking at the landscaping environment so that there's a safe view for our police officers riding by and for people playing in the park and walking through the park, that there's lighting and visibility and not, large obstructive bushes and that kind of thing that could cause a problem for, crime. So I see you have got a lot of shrubs and that kind of thing in the design, so I'd like you to keep that in mind, the visual beauty, but also safety for the park.
Yep. And that's one area that would be kind of renovated, would be the landscaping in that area that you mentioned, and then throughout the park and other areas as well. Because as you said, it is kind of grown up. You've got it right there behind the little Linville house, and they've cleaned it up through the years. But, if we get this grant, it would, I'm guessing, probably would take all of that out when there and then go back in with new.
Yeah, so one of the reasons behind the renovation, besides connectivity, accessibility from side to side and front to back, is the way that the park functions. It functions as your downtown draw gathering space. So the front, you're correct. You want to be visible for not only, for safety reasons, but for anybody to see, hey, this is a function. I want to stop, I want to participate. And then you've got downtown tourism, walkability, shopping, all that stuff.
It is difficult because when there's a big community event, you think about the Spring Folly, but then there's also Halloween and other times, maybe the craft fairs, that kind of thing. All the traffic into the park funnels right past the gazebo because some of the landscaping has been basically kind of like a wall.
Correct.
But if you could move your microphone a little closer, we're interested in hearing everything you have to say.
How's that? Is that
Go
right?
ahead, Ernie.
Okay.
Tell us more.
So the renovation of the park has to do with the connectivity, accessibility of the park in general. If you go to it now, once you park in the accessible park in the back, there's a connectivity from the shelter to the bathroom, and then that's it. And then you have connectivity from the front on Main Street through your sections there with your paved walkers and stuff. There's no connectivity anywhere else. So the project is meant to address that and have it connected, accessibility all the way throughout. But also the function of the park functions as your downtown gathering space draw. And with all the activities we have down there, when you talk about Spring Folly, Juneteenth, movies in the park, concerts in the park, movies at twilight, all those type of things, the renovation will make it to where the space fits its function. You flatten out the event space, you can do your booth vendors, you can have gathering space. So it fixes all the issues, but it makes it fit the function that it does right now as your downtown gathering space. So that's where the renovation comes in. And the front, you're correct, the landscaping blocks it. So you want it open so, besides the public safety and point-to-point visibility, you want folks that are coming downtown or driving through downtown to see activity and want to stop and participate. So that's what it's all about.
Okay, are there any questions? All right, so we're going to look at three things as to voting: to adopt the conceptual plan, but with the concern that Curtis, that it may be need to be adapted to the funding we get, the PARTIF grant and the LWCF grant.
Can I make
Sure, go ahead.
just to point out? So these grants, we have to. I want to just ask to adopt each one separately.
Oh, of course.
Because we adopted the plan, in essence, when you did the master plan in 24, our department master plan. But to the points on the application, they want an application or adoption of the conceptual itself, and then each one of the grants separately, so it's all the points and application pieces, so.
Yeah, I've got 3 votes. That's what
Yeah,
I was.
okay.
Okay, explaining to the board. Any questions? Any more questions, discussions, comments on the park? Any love expressed for the activities there? All right, we all know, we all love it, right? Playground, benches, that's all good. All right. First, we're looking at the conceptual plan. Do I have a motion to adopt the conceptual plan for Harmon Park? Got a motion by Sabanis, second by Apple. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, now the next is a PARTIF grant. That is the abbreviation for the North Carolina Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grant. Do I have a motion to authorize the application for grant funding?
So moved.
Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gorham.
Second.
Second by Alderman Pegram. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, the next is the Land Water Conservation Grant, the LWCF grant. A motion to authorize the application for grant funding.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gorham.
Second.
Second by Alderman Pegram. All in favor? It's unanimous. Ernie, work your magic.
I'll try. Thank you.
We've done some really wonderful park renovations based on some funding that Ernie has submitted for, so hopefully we'll have some good success.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. All right. Now, my computer went to sleep, and I agree with you, Adam. The next item, item K, consideration of an ordinance for budget amendment number 8. Mr. Swisher.
You have the budget amendment in your packet, and gets to reveal what the winter storm cost us so far. But that's not the biggest one in the budget amendment. I'll cover some of these. The first one, increase in expenditures in the police department is $34,500 for structural repairs for the communications tower building. The communications tower is the tower at McCoyne Street at the Public Services Yard. It's 400 foot tall, maybe 450, but it's got a building that sits below the tower. That building started to sink into the ground. So to prevent that from happening, we had to have some folks come in and do some repair to it so that that would not continue to happen. Involved drilling down through the foundation of the building, shoring it up, and basically shoring that foundation up so it would no longer sink. The $20,000 for the Greenway is what the board just approved a couple items ago. So the first one dealing with the winter weather is item 4 and item 5. You have $46,000 to cover overtime cost and depleted rock salt inventory. And then following that up is $12,000 for additional overtime. There's another $5,000 for overtime in the general services department. So in total, so far, it's about $63,000 just for public services for overtime and expenses with equipment. Item 6 is the budget amendment for the Kernersville 155 America 250 celebration. Item 7, for the 2 new board members, IT has relocated from the end of the hall in Town Hall over to the building on Main Street that used to be, I think, Jane Maiden found something, that's what was there. They got in there, $60,000 to finish up those renovation costs. The majority of that was termite damage in the front of the building along the foundation, so we had to go in and put some new beams that ran both long ways and front to back. So was not expecting that. We found out when we got ready to really finish up the building that was an issue, and we needed to go ahead and take care of that. So we did that. And then the biggest one, Public Services Central Maintenance Division, $169,000. Most of that is for on our sanitation trucks, the arms that lift the trash cans up and the recycling cans up. They are not cheap. They're about $30,000 a piece, I believe, and we had 3 or 4 of those that we had to replace, as well as some other hydraulic pumps. They just go out And once they go out, if we want to continue using the truck, we have to replace them. They're not covered under warranty, I think, but a year, all of our trucks. Most of our trucks are over a year old, so it's on us to replace those. We did have some vehicle repair that was offset by some insurance, or had a vehicle accident offset by insurance, and you see that in the revenues. So all told, we have a fund balance appropriation of about $422,000 to balance it out there. Be glad to answer any questions that you may have, and I think that, I don't know that we have any more expenses associated with the past winter storm anyway.
What are, for item 6, the Kernersville 155, America 250, what all is included in that $100,000? Is that paying for the acts and like the fireworks and stuff?
It's the fireworks, and I'll answer the best one, and whatever I leave out, Ernie answer, but it's the fireworks, drones, the 3 bands, overtime for some folks. What else we got, Ernie, in that?
We've got, in there, besides those items, we've got
Light towers.
the light towers, we've got emergency services to be on hand with the ambulance in case, whatever. We've got metal detectors, folks coming in and make sure we can screen them. I mean, it's all inclusive of everything that's involved with that to make sure we're safe. And
So there shouldn't be any other additional fund requests. This should cover the whole
I
thing?
don't foresee any
You're
more coming.
hopeful?
I don't see anything more for coming from that.
Okay.
I was pretty inclusive with that number.
And we'll have the revenue
Yeah.
as a offset, and we'll do the budget amendment for that once the event is over with and we know what the total revenue is.
Perfect. Thanks. I move to accept the budget amendment.
Okay, motion to approve the budget amendment ordinance number 8. Got a second by Alderman Apple. Motion by Alderman Sabanas, second by Alderman Apple. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. These matters are considered to be routine by the Board of Aldermen and will be enacted by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the matter will be removed from the consent agenda and considered under the following item. A, consideration of an administrative correction to Exhibit A for ordinance number O, which for everyone, that just means ordinance. If it said R, it'd be resolution. So O 2023, that's the year it was adopted. 52, that was the 52nd ordinance we adopted that year, for rezoning case K 570A4. And so that's the corrected ordinance. Item B, consideration of a resolution declaring the badge and service weapon of Dan Weems as surplus and authorizing disposal. So that is for our police officer who's retiring, in order to present him with his badge that he wore in service and his service sidearm. We have to declare it surplus first. Item C, approval of minutes for the January 28, 2026 regular meeting. D, approval of minutes for the February 3rd, 2026 regular meeting. E, Forsyth County tax refunds. Is there anyone who'd like to remove anything from the consent agenda? On the board, in the audience, staff? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Got a motion by Alderman Thompson.
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Gorham. All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, we are now to the briefing on the March 3rd meeting agenda item.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to request a 5-minute break.
Okay, we will take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the regular meeting of the Kernersville Board of Aldermen. I'll call this meeting back to order. All right, we were on, I believe, the briefing for the next agenda.
Correct.
All right, so there's a special presentation, and you all will think it's wonderful, but we'll leave it at that for now to surprise some of the people involved, but I'll let you know more about it later. All right, then the next is a public hearing. Mr. Swisher, if you want to take it from there.
This is the voluntary annexation, property located at 115 Level Springs Road. The board put this on last month for the public hearing to be held March the 3rd. That's item 1A, the only public hearing on there. Then item 2B is the consideration of the contract, the guaranteed maximum price for the community pool. And then item 2C will be the 3 annual reports, Next Step Ministries, Kerner's Folly, and Senior Services. And that is all so far on the agenda.
Okay. Is there anything you're planning to present that you know about that's not written on the agenda yet?
Not that I know about right now. No.
Okay. All right, any questions? It's pretty straightforward. All right, that brings us back to tonight's regular agenda. Which is the town manager's report for tonight.
I don't have anything, but Ernie has a brief update on the Kernersville celebrations in April.
All right, I'm back. So the Kernersville 155, America 250. We do have an update. We, in the midst of our finalizing our agreements with our bands, our headliner, we figured out we had a double booking for that same date. So the headline act that we were working towards and finalizing agreement will no longer be able to perform on that April 11th. So
I don't think the last time you presented, you had the earlier band. So could you
Correct.
tell us the two that we have
So
firmed up?
the first performer will be Joy Cohn. She's performed with our Juneteenth every year. She's an incredible performer. She's been on American Idol, received gold ticket. So she's really good performer. The second performer is Alec Ottaway. He does a mix between country and classic rock and top 40. So he's a varied artist in terms of what he can do. Great singer, great band. So now we're looking for a headliner to fill the spot or come into the middle, and then we'll push Alec Ottaway to the headliner. So we're working on that. We discovered this came out and it was confirmed yesterday at 4:30. So right about now, about 24 hours without sleep. So it kept me up last night trying to figure out how solutions. So we've been reaching out today, reaching out to different artists and stuff to come up with a solution and get a headliner. So that's where we are right now. So hopefully we'll have a solution in place by the middle of next week. So, and we'll be ready to roll.
Any questions? Could you tell us more about the different locations that are going to have the daytime activities? I don't think we've talked much about that in this forum.
So on April 11th, in the morning time, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we will have a vendor fair that's stationed between the historical village at the museum and Harmon Park. So what will be at the museum site will be your traditional handcrafted crafts, so blacksmiths, wood carvers, glass blowers, those type of crafts. And then you'll have additional art craft vendors in Harmon Park. That'll be from 10 to 2. At the same time, we will have Kernersville historical documents on display at the Visitor Center. And as well, that will also be a community day for the Kerner's Folly. So the community is welcome to go tour the Folly, see historical documents, and enjoy that. And at the Botanical Gardens, it will be the 15th year anniversary of their opening. So we will be hosting a plant sale, a farm-to-table cooking expo, and tours of the garden. They're working on a few other details to expand a little bit more, so I don't want to give away too much as they're working through and finalizing those details. And then at 12 o'clock, the Chamber will be sponsoring cake squares from Cakes and All Things Yummy at Founders Park giving out, anniversary cakes. And that'll wrap up at 2:00 in downtown, and then at 4:00, performances will start at Ivy and go from 4 to about 9:15. Around 9:15, the drone show will start, and with the fireworks. So we should be wrapping up around 9:45, 10 o'clock. Will be the
So
day.
if people are interested in the details of it, I know you do a lot with social media, but where should we direct them for the
So-
details and changes?
Yeah, our social media outlets, of course, and then we're working with IT to get the event page on the town website updated, and I'll also reaching out to the chamber for them to help promote information, so.
So are you putting a banner up on the Parks and Rec website, or are you just going to have it like in the Instagram and Facebook? What
Well,
are the plans?
Instagram links, we'll do QR codes, we'll do banners at the parks, we'll do seamless links from our pages to the event page. So we'll get it with IT and get as much exposure as we can.
We probably ought to put an icon on the front page of the Town of Kernersville website too.
I'll get with Adam on that.
We've got the ones for like that area where it's like bids requested and that sort of thing. There'd probably be a way to fit it somewhere on the front page.
I'm sure there is. Well, I'll get with Adam. We'll make sure there's plenty of visibility. And today, this week, we start really promoting the 155 as a whole, the event. Not so much, the internet, but what's going on, all the daytime events, all the nighttime events, and we started promoting pretty heavy this past week on Monday. So it came out in the paper, Kernersville Magazine. We've got an outside agency doing a lot of promotions, reaching out to media sources like TV news, morning shows, so that way we start calling and saying, hey, what's going on? We'll have chances to promote on TV as well.
So some of the written things you prepared earlier, and there's one that was published already, but that was before this change. In your other ones that have been written and submitted, do they include specifics about the musical performances?
Yes. So we reached out today and tried to see if we can kind of pull that back and make edits before it went out and distribution. We started that this morning, and then I went up to a bunch of meetings, so I don't know where we landed on that, so I have to check on that tomorrow morning. So we're trying to pull back as much detailed information as we can and just go out with kind of general, live music, fireworks, drone shows, vendors, food trucks, that kind of stuff, and then go from there. So.
Does anyone else have questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the update, Ernie.
You're welcome.
Sorry you had to give it, but it is what it is, right?
I will tell you, I've got peers in the business that do these, these big bands, for like Kannapolis, they do some pretty big shows, and so does Davie County. And I was kind of envious of like, oh man, you get to get some pretty cool bands. I don't feel that way anymore. So.
Well, hopefully we can have a bright, sunny, beautiful day.
Fingers crossed again.
Fingers crossed. All right. Anything else, Curtis?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Mr. Powell?
I'd just like to say something, and of course, it's all of you there, about our town manager being named to the Hall of Fame at East Forsyth High School, and how proud we all were of him, and we were all there cheering him on, and it was a very great night, Curtis, to see you get the great honor. We do have a need for a closed session tonight.
Thank you. Here, Curtis, to echo Ed Powell's congratulations on the recognition as part of the East Forsyth High School Sports Hall of Fame current class. And it was so neat to see so many of your cross-country runners on your current team that won the state championship there with you. And I feel like they overlooked a very important point when they presented the award, not only your service as a coach and your outstanding service or your outstanding performance in the sport as a youth athlete yourself, but the impact you've had on cross country in the town of Kernersville, because there were cross country tournaments in Raleigh and Charlotte, and we had kind of a new course, and things happened. They had renovations, they had issues. the board authorized Curtis to bid for it. Curtis was running the course himself with others to check it out and improve it and just make it just perfect. We borrowed land from someone else who consented to allow their land to be used for part of the course. And we borrowed parking from another landowner to make it happen. And we got the contract and we were really excited, but it was for a limited time. And then when it came for renewal, everyone had had such a good time here in Kernersville that it got renewed. And so now it's a tradition, and so many people I've run into in other parts of the state have come here in association with the cross-country events that we have. So it's a great resource for the local athletes. If you don't know, even the middle school athletes run on it as well. So it's provided a venue for the teenagers in high school, the middle school athletes, and there's even a children's run that Donnie Cowart, who's an incredible runner, organizes an after-school running program for younger children, and they come and do a big event there at the park. It's a course that is very popular, it's very well maintained, and people have commented even if there's been bad weather, Kernersville gets out there and dries it out and fixes anything that got damaged, and we're ready to run. So Curtis, it was your personal expertise and your extra time and the support of the board altogether that made it happen. But without you, we wouldn't be on the map for cross country. So the town of Kernersville is grateful to you for that. And they should have mentioned it at the award banquet, but I get to mention it right now. So having seen it happen from beginning to now, just thank you for all that you've done for that park and for the youth in Kernersville and in our state. There's a lot of people had a great experience because of your efforts.
Thank you and the board.
All right. Anything else? Mr. Gorham?
Madam
Any
Mayor.
more comments first? Do you have a comment first?
Oh, no.
Okay. Mr. Pegram? No comment. Mr. Thompson?
I do have a comment. I have several comments. Bear with me because a lot of this has happened this week, and so I've had to jot this down to make sure I've covered all my bases. As many of you know, my wife Sue Ellen's a fifth grade teacher at Kernersville Elementary School. On Monday, she came home with an Amazon gift card that was presented to her by a former teacher at the school. She began by telling me about it. She mentioned that all 42 teachers at the school had received the same gift card from the same individual. The gift card came in a brown paper wrapping with the words, "In honor of James Fitzpatrick, Principal, 1965 to 1983. She went on to tell me more about this incredible, generous former educator, and I was truly amazed. She also mentioned that the school is currently planning a centennial celebration with which Emily Smith serving as the lead contact, and she's here tonight. Yesterday, I reached out to Emily Smith to learn more. Emily shared additional details about this remarkable teacher and explained that the school would like to honor her with a bronze plaque as part of the centennial celebration. I then contacted David Fitzpatrick for obvious reasons and was surprised to learn that to his knowledge, the teacher has never been formally recognized or honored through the years. I'm bringing this to you tonight because I'd like to ask my fellow board members to discuss this and hopefully vote in favor of the town of Kernersville formally recognizing and honoring this extraordinary woman and educator. I'd also like to request that the town fund the cost of the bronze plaque to be dedicated in her honor at Kernersville Elementary School at the centennial celebration on April 18th. The person I'm referring to is Miss Ida Cathy, who is now 90 years old. She was hired in 1966 by Jim Fitzpatrick and holds the distinction of being the first African-American teacher hired at Kernersville Elementary School. Tonight, I've asked Emily Smith and David Fitzpatrick to join us so they can share more about the centennial event and about Miss Cathy's lasting impact of the school and our community. I'd like to ask Emily Smith to come forward, please.
Okay, Ms. Smith.
And I have a short video. It's only 41 seconds, but it shows you who Ida Cathy is. Sure. Thank you.
The 60s and 70s, which stored great change for education. The faculty was integrated in 1966, and in 1970, full integration was completed. Mrs. Ida Cathy, who in 1966 was Kernersville's first black teacher, recalls the smooth transition she felt upon her arrival at Kernersville.
Kernersville was just a happy home. Kernersville made me feel just like at home. And it's a family. It's a family feeling. Everybody loves everybody. Now, it's love in that school.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Emily. I work at Kernersville Elementary, have so for 10 years with Alderman Thompson's wife. At the start of this year, to give you some background story, it's our 100-year anniversary, or the centennial event that we have decided to put on this spring as Kernersville Elementary School. One of my colleagues, Will Sykes, began researching our 100 years of history and how many changes our school has gone through. And one of his milestones that kept standing out was Miss Ida Cathy. As Chris said, she was hired in 1966 as the first African-American teacher at Kernersville School. At that time, it was a K-12 school. During our research and through the town archives, we spoke with Mr. Fitzpatrick to gain a little bit more insight about Miss Cathy, and to our surprise, coincidences, she was looking into us as well. We're all aware of what's going on in Forsyth County schools, the plight of the financial crisis, and Miss Cathy saw that as well and was motivated to try to help out teachers at her old school at Kernersville. While she wanted us to feel her appreciation and her support, so she organized a fundraiser to make sure that every teacher understood that they were still seen and heard, even if they didn't feel it at this time. She was very successful in her effort, and her generosity is just one of the examples of her lasting impact, which David, Mr. Fitzpatrick, can attest to in just a moment. During this year, it's a milestone year we consider, we would like to recognize Ms. Cathy for the contributions she's made, both past and present, and how she still is very much supportive of the public education system, especially within this town. So we are respectfully requesting the town's support in providing a plaque to be displayed at the elementary school in her support and her honor for everything that she's done for us. And the centennial event where we would like to present it would be April 18th. It's a Saturday where we're going to have memorabilia that we've been given from not only community members, but the Kernersville Museum as well. That'll be on display along with walking tours of the school so alumni can see it, local vendors, food trucks, and some entertainment as well, and the classic car show, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fitzpatrick?
The year was 1966. For those of us who are old enough, those were some interesting times. Civil unrest in our country. There was a lot happening. I was just an 8-year-old. That year I had an African-American teacher. First African-American.
So oh, thank you. The road kind of, this is Linville Springs Road near the intersection with Dobson. The road kind of like has a kind of an indentation, kind of gully there. And then further down on the road around some of the utility covers, and even in the road, there's like entire chunks of the first couple inches of asphalt just gone. And so before that road opens up to a lot of through traffic, if the DOT could go back and assess it, because if they looked at it a month ago, it looks different to me than it did a month ago even. So the road, to my recollection, hasn't had any big paving or repair since 2006. They did a big project there around March 2006 where they extended the shoulders, but the opening of that new section of the road is going to create a lot of traffic going through there to try and access Salem Parkway down Macy Grove Road and the new section of road. So it's going to get even more heavily traveled, and I think it's going to get to the point where, you know, it's damaging cars and stuff going through there with the amount of damage there is in that small stretch. So something that maybe ought to get on their patching schedule for the spring, even if they weren't planning on it originally. And it's a change from the fall. So.
I'll mention that to John again. I emailed him about it back in December. He said he thinks it may just need an overlay before the new extension is built. But he would look at it and see where it falls in order of the needs in Forsyth County. So I'll have him go back out and look at it now that we've had some more weather and it may have deteriorated more.
At one of the entrances to Browns Run, there's like 3 entrances to Browns Run. I think it was the last one, which would be Aquaview, but it might be the second one. There's a big utility cover and there's a whole chunk of pavement gone from there that looks pretty deep.
Okay.
So, and then there's places just in the middle of the lane. It is kind of impossible to stop and get the precise location driving through with or being a passenger in a car looking through. So it's hard for me to pinpoint exactly for you. But if we could measure where these are and tell them to ask them to look at it.
All right. Yeah, we'll go out and take a look and I'll let him know.
Okay, appreciate it. And have you heard any more updates about that traffic light or the street light you and I both reported on Main Street?
The last I heard was about 3 weeks ago. I got a notification from Duke Energy that they were waiting on a replacement part and that they would let me know when the work had been completed. I've not received anything from them since then, so I'm guessing it's still in the queue to be repaired.
Do you think that we could look into maybe we could get some help with some beautification funds or maybe it's something we could work with some of the consultants on, like a lighting study or a streetscape update study for that area, because the trees were smaller, now they've grown. Those light fixtures are beautiful, but it's entirely possible with how long they've been there that the casings of them have either yellowed or damaged. The lighting of the bulbs that people use now, everyone's getting more accustomed to LED lighting. And so they're just, there was thought that maybe some uplighting around the trees might help give more ambient light to the downtown, but maybe we also need to include looking at those fixtures. Maybe they're not serving the right purpose anymore.
Yeah, I can get with Jimmy Flythe and see if they have folks. I think they have some folks at Duke Energy that'll come out and do that and recommend a change in the bulb. Maybe getting a brighter bulb in there, whatever it may be. And we can look at some of the trees as well in that area, or really all of downtown, about trimming those back. I think we did a couple years ago, so it's probably getting time to do that again. So, but I'll get in touch with Jimmy Flythe about the bulbs.
Okay,
See
and
if there's something we can do differently.
Chris, one of the lights was reported. The one I reported was, I think it's like 210. It's right at the factory on the right. If you're leaving town, right-hand side of the street. Curtis reported the one right at the crosswalk in front of the brewery company, and we've both been waiting, for an extended period of time for these to be repaired compared to when they were reported. So it's 2 lights in close proximity, but, you know, if you look at the other lights in the downtown, they're just not lighting the sidewalk and the street like they sufficiently. So, and just a reminder to everybody, if you do see lights out, the more standard lights seem to get fixed pretty quickly. There is a great report outage of a street light or a street light cycling on the Duke Energy front page. All right. Anything else from the board? Anything you want to repeat, given that the audio was out on the video for a little while? All right. Curtis, anything else in open session at the moment? All right. Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to give us a motion?
Madam Mayor, I hereby make a motion that the board go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A5 to establish or to instruct the public body's staff or negotiating agents concerning the position to be taken by or on behalf of the public body in negotiating the price and other material terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase, option, exchange, or lease.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gorham, second by Alderman Thompson. All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, this meeting is now in closed session. Welcome back to the regular meeting of the Kernersville Board of Aldermen. Is there any further business before the board this evening?
Nope.
If not, could I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion by Alderman Thompson, second by Alderman Pegram. All in favor? It's unanimous. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you for joining us.